Hey folks, this is Tony Aguilar, and it's been a little while since I've shot a video, and last weekend I was at a game show, game convention, Hurricon 2023, and I picked up some items, and I figured I'd show you guys what it was exactly that I picked up. I didn't get a chance really to do a video. I was kind of busy socializing and playing and had a really good time. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff to buy, to be honest with you. All the vendors, there were either scales of things I wasn't interested in, or, it just really didn't need anything. So the first stuff that I picked up was at the flea market. This guy was selling these books that he apparently had bought more than once, which I've actually done that before. I think it's only happened to me a couple times, but mainly I think with Osprey books. But these two books were $5 a piece, as you can see, and I wish they had more stuff like this on other things other than just the Panzer forces. But for whatever reason, they're either more popular or there's more information available. But here is the first one, is the Essential Tank Identification Guide, Wehrmacht Panzer Divisions, by Jorge Rosado and Chris Bishop. And I think these are Stackpole? Amber? What was I thinking they were? Amber books, okay. And this is really pretty cool because it gives you some ideas here for some organization and some paint schemes, and I figured this was well worth $5 worth of stuff. Like, for instance, we were talking about Italy a while ago. Here's the 16th Panzer Division, and here's what it consisted of. The 2nd Panzer Regiment, 92 Panzer IVs and 40 Stugs, and 12 command tanks and 7 Flammpanzers. So it talks a little bit about the history. It goes through all of I've only given this a cursory look. Cursory enough to, I'm taking this with me. 1st Panzer Division, for instance, here it starts with invasion of Poland and what it's made up of units. Of course, that changes over time pretty quickly. The French campaign, also 1st Panzer Division. Barbarossa, some examples of some vehicles painted. Of course, there's a lot more of that online, but Fall Blau, still 1st Panzer Division, some captured vehicles. Try to get the light so we don't have as much glare, and then we go into some late war stuff, and then the 2nd Panzer. And same thing through all of the sequences here. 2nd Panzer on the Western Front. One of the coolest units that had a little trident on it. I like that. Battle of the Bulge. 3rd Panzer. At Kursk, 4th, all the way through, how far do we go? 21st? And then later wartime, 24th Panzer Division. It's one of the ones that was in Italy. Interesting symbol for that, for the 25th, almost Middle Eastern looking. 116th, of course, Panzer Lehr, which is also the 130th, and so forth. So this is a cool book. Like I said, I only gave it a cursory glance of what exactly is in there. Okay, $5. Same vendor was selling, or the same person was selling Panzer Grenadier divisions, also for $5. Like I said, I wish they had this for all the British units and Well, the Soviet ones, I'm sure would be very difficult to do, but the U.S. units, and instead of this Panzer fetish that everybody seems to have. So here's all the motorized divisions and the Panzer Grenadier divisions. And again, same thing. You start with 3rd Infantry Motorized, which ended up becoming the 3rd Panzer Grenadier Division, I believe. I believe that was one of the ones that got caught inside of Stalingrad and crushed. And it looks like it was reformed to go to Italy with some Vespas. This is kind of the interesting things on here. Like, for instance, here is the strength of a Panzerjäger Abteilung, so a anti-tank battalion. And it tells you how many motorcycle sidecar combinations. Of course, this stuff's available in other sources that I have too, but it's nice to kind of have it in one of these things on here. How many 37 millimeter guns? Look at this. 37 millimeter, 1.5 inch. I have never heard a 37 millimeter referred to in inch form. That's weird. And tank companies, how many self-propelled 10/4s with the 20 millimeter? Interesting stuff. Some good ideas there for, scenarios. I got a Kubelwagen that has a tarp on the back. I always wonder, if I'll make it gray, what color tarp it is. Well, here's somebody's inspiration. It's almost kind of like a little bit of greenish color. I figured this is well worth $5. It's basically a brand new book. So one of the units coming up that I was a big fan of when I was building the 135th scale models was Grossdeutschland. I was making a couple scenarios, little dioramas with the Grossdeutschland symbol. I didn't know this. Some Grossdeutschland vehicles had a windmill device painted on the side, a reference to a familiar landmark near Ston in France, where the regiment fought its first large-scale battle in 1940. I've never seen a windmill painted on a unit. Cool. That's kind of a neat configuration with the extra ammo. Some tiger striping here on the Martyr 3. And we get into some more odd units here. Nice vehicles in white. Nice whitewash on them. Panzerkorps, Grossdeutschland. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. The Führerbegleitdivision, Division, or Begleit. Yeah, some of these were like a basically Battle of the Bulge. That's where I hear about them, and afterwards. The Sicilian Panzer Grenadier Division. Wonder if they were in Sicily. No, just some interesting stuff in here. Like I said, we go all the way into Fernherrnhalle. That's another one. That's one of those late war Battle of the Bulge type units. Hermann Goering. That's a very high number. 386th Infantry Division motorized. Wow. Very high number for a motorized unit. 233rd Panzer Grenadier Division. Never heard of it. You hear about things when you war game or you play some kind of computer game that has some of those units, and I've never seen any of those. So, anyways, good stuff here. So, anyhow, that's the second book I picked up for $5. I think that was a good find. Then I actually had one of my buddies was selling this book. He had several of them, and I actually didn't even know that they made this one. Of course, it means we either didn't have it at the store or it came in after that. I don't know what the publishing date of this thing is. Probably in the 90s is my guess. 98, yeah. Our store was closed by then. So the hobby store was closed. I didn't even know that they made U.S. tank destroyers in action. And I'm not really following this kind of stuff. So, but this is a squadron signal on the U.S. tank destroyers. I don't have this one. And typical good old squadron signal. I'm a big fan of their books. They're easy to understand. And one thing that they do that's really cool is they do stuff like this. And again, I really haven't even looked at these. I've had them a week and I haven't even opened them. I'm just like, I'm going to grab this stuff, you know. But stuff like, you know, I've seen models of M10s, for instance, and they'll tell you like mid-production, whatever. And I'm like, okay, how do I process all that information? But here's Squadron Signal does a great job of explaining how the different ones in just a clear line drawing between them. You know, you got the original early production, mid-production, and then late. And see, as you late production, you got more of an overhang here. The mid-production's kind of in between, and the early one just doubles back on it. So, you know, for those of us that still have that modeling in our veins, you know, it's cool to see that stuff laid out. They do a really good. I have many of their books, the Panzer IIIs, 4s, Shermans. They all explain that kind of stuff really, really well. Different hatches. Good old Hellcat. Fast and Furious. Fastest track vehicle of World War II, supposedly. I don't know. I would think speed 55 miles an hour. I don't know. I think a BT-7 would give them a good run for the money, but probably the tracks on a BT-7 probably spin off. I have a feeling Hellcat's a hell of a lot better constructed. And of course, the wonderful color plates that are just inspiring for even one in Bosnia. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want a 76 millimeter gun in Bosnia. Good for APCs, but I'm not going to take out a tank with that. Yeah, good stuff here. Just typical good old Squadron Signal stuff. I believe I picked this one up for $5 as well. So it was there. There was nothing else to buy. And then I decided to get these kind of on a whim. This is a vendor that's was there, but he was not able to attend due to health issues. So since I was on a book mode, I picked these two up. Again, I didn't even know they made these. Armor Battles on the Eastern Front, German High Tide 41-42, and Downfall of the Reich 43-45. And the thing that I liked about these is that it wasn't just German stuff. It went on both sides. So there's stuff in here and honestly, I got these for the color plates. But there is text in here. But, you know, I'm particularly interested in this period right now. Well, I like all the Eastern Front stuff, but I particularly like the early stuff. And, you know, Concord has a lot of black and white photos. And there's some photographs in here that I've never seen before. And I got a lot of KVs to do, KV2s to do. And I'll be damned if they just lack markings whatsoever. Most of them. But that seems to be pretty typical. And the text is cool because, you know, it just kind of just describes just the minimum of what you need to know here. It doesn't give you a whole ton of background information that you could fall asleep in, you know. Yeah, so here's an interesting thing. Here is this photo here. It's a Czech 35, as I like to call them, Panzerkampfwagen 35T from 6th Panzer Division. It was the only unit. Oh, let's see, can I make that light better? It was the only unit, the only division that used Czech 35s was the 6th Panzer. It was deployed with XL1, that's 56th Panzer Corps, attached to Panzer Group 4 of Army Group North. There were 232 tanks in the division on June 22nd, 1941. Though the division was strong on paper, I mean, that's a lot of tanks, the majority of its tanks were 155 Panzer 35 supported by 5 command vehicles. Both Panzer 35 Ts in this photo have standard camouflage and markings. Interesting, it says it's got camouflage. It must have had like the brown on top of the gray. I don't know. I don't see it on there. Including closely spaced tactical numbers repeated on 3 sides of the turret. The rear tank has a tactical number 132, while the lead tank has 133. Yeah, this was one of the units that encountered the KV-1, at least one incident of a KV-1 where it held up the entire division. And if you read any of the excerpts from the German commander Raus, he was one of the commanders in the 6th Panzer Division, and he talks about that, how it held up the division. And this is like a couple days in, so there's like a KV that just made a valiant stand. Here's another Czech 35 with a 131. Really tight numbers back there. You know, just stuff like that for armor junkies. Here we got some of the Soviet stuff. Armored car. I love these 45 millimeter turrets for either the BTs or the armored cars they're more cylindrical. They just look so good. It's just really a good looking vehicle, honestly. Even though it's kind of, antiquated looking, I don't know. It just kind of looks modern and antiquated at the same time. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. That's a sexy turret. This is a really good looking tank. The BT-7s. Here's one with the spotlights. Good stuff here. T-35 with the aerial. And this is, I was flipping through here, and most of this is another tank that has a lack of markings. I saw this here with the little tricolor. So one of my T-35s I'm going to do that way. Ooh, a Flammpanzer II, the Flamingo. Didn't make very many of those. See, this is one of these examples. If you tried doing this on a model, it would look like you did a shitty job. They just did a whitewash T-26. This is the earlier model with the non-completely cylindrical turret. And they just painted it, and then they just took a vodka break after that. They got tired of it. And it looks good, but I bet if you tried that, it would look like ass. Yeah, this is the more modern BA armored car. A heart? I've never seen that before. Lover boys in a T-34. So again, this is almost, I don't think there's a whole lot of text here that's not related to photographs, which I'm kind of a fan of, because this just tells you kind of give you ideas. If you want all the text and stuff, I got audiobooks and stuff for that sort of thing. There is, I think, a little bit of the text at the beginning. Yeah, introduction, 2 pages, and the rest of it is just captions. So, armor battles on the Eastern Front, okay? And the last one I picked up, Downfall of the Reich, the companion of that book that we just went through. And same thing, except this one is 43 onwards. Kursk period and so forth. Here's an elephant that was captured by the Soviets. Look at all this writing on here. It's in Russian, apparently. This vehicle showed only minor damages. One of the 39 elephants lost was captured in an almost perfect condition by the Soviets. I take it this is after Kursk. Note the camouflage pattern is not typical of these self-propelled guns. The inscription on the superstructure reads, "Self-propelled German gun Ferdinand, taken into captivity, together with the crew, by soldiers of 129th Orel Division." There's a mouthful. The division, commanded by Colonel I.V. Panchjuk, took part in the capture of Orel City with 4 other divisions and 3 tank units, and was honored with the name of the city. For many years, it was thought that most of the elephants were lost because they had no machine guns. But this is not true. Well, technically, this is a Ferdinand, not an elephant, but, you know. Many of them were lost due to damage or lack of fuel, not because of deadly shooting from enemy guns or infantry. The elephant was an offensive weapon, so during retreating combat, it had less chance of fighting successfully, especially in cities. And many of them had to be abandoned on battlefields with only minor damage, like one seen here. I don't know what it is about elephants, but I did see I want to say it was an article by the Tank Museum or a video on the Tank Museum in Bovington. And they were talking about the King Tiger. And the curator of the museum was saying that they have evidence, or there's no evidence, that a King Tiger was, different vehicle, but similar armor. This thing has even more front armor than a King Tiger. A King Tiger was never taken out from the front by anything. That's interesting. That's interesting that he says that. So, no King Tigers knocked out by the front. Almost kind of like M1s. No M1s knocked out of it from the front that I know of. More pictures. Good shot of the Su-152 with the barrel there, with the I guess they're perforations, but longitudinal perforations on the end for the for that. Well, don't drink and drive, folks. Hummels. Now, here's another paint scheme that just doesn't work. You try doing that yourself and it just looked like crap on a model. Just like if you've seen any of the early Panzers with like the chalk lines on it or whatever, that just doesn't. Here's a famous picture. That's everywhere. It's a really cool photo there. Soviet Shermans. I just don't see any purpose in doing any. Here's one of them right there. Hummel, hardly any of the Dunkelgelb showing. Anyhow, this is another cool book that I really haven't taken a look at. Boy, a lot of fumbles here with the Soviets. They really need to slow down the consumption of vodka. Look at this. Do the Soviets ever drive straight? Maybe they're just proud of their mishandlings, their mishaps. Anyhow, yeah. So this is what I picked up at the show, and all stuff that is tank related, World War II tank related, and yeah, got a pretty good deal on all these. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you found this informative. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.